Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to Esports Masters League. We are here tonight for PSF1. It is season number 6. It's round 4 of the championship as we take on the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez from, of course, the Mexican Grand Prix. My name is James Head. I'm delighted to be taking through the stream, of course, as always, on this fine Wednesday evening. Joining me in the commentary box, he's back from his awoken slumber from last week. It is Mr. Michael Edwards. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing very well rested, as you can imagine now, James, and looking forward to getting back into some fantastic action here in F1. Of course, as you mentioned, we are here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix, and a circuit where a lot of these drivers probably won't want pole position because such a long run down into towards turn number 1, you're very unlikely to keep a hold of it when you get to the break-in.
Yeah, definitely. So you normally see, 3, 4 wide down in towards turn 1 as well. So that is going to be very key, I think, to the chances of everyone out on track here tonight as well. That all really long run down in towards turn number 1. Of course, there was a bit of a change-up. Well, there wasn't a change-up in terms of last week. It was Dirk, of course, who took the win in that fantastic final lap, I've got to say, in Hungary. One of the best final laps I think we've had this season. Erpek there in second for E-Take, Gatkowski there in third. All three obliged once again in the top, potentially here in Mexico. All three are racing here tonight, so it is going to be very good. There's beautiful blue skies and sunshine out on track as well, is what I can report. And looking at the standings coming into tonight, ET8 lead the way on 137 points with 2 wins and 4 podiums to their name. We've had 6 different teams pick up a podium so far this season, and that is split pretty much from 2nd to 9th, covered by that 30 points, I think, covered between 2nd and 9th in the championship. CPI in 2nd on 75, NLR in 3rd on 70. Team TF10, the only other team to have had a win, thanks to Dirk last week, on 68. EPL there in 5th on 60. IRT on 58, then X Esports 7th on 50, Team Chazoo in 8th on 48, WR Esports in 9th on 45, and then RCR, who struggled right at the beginning of the season last season and then came alive towards the midpoint of the season. They're down in 10th on 14 points, finding things a little bit tough at the early stages of here. As ET8 are out on top, Mike, 62 points the gap between themselves and CPI. However, 30 points separating 2nd to 9th just come to show on paper how close it really is.
Yeah, I mean, so far this season, ETA have just been absolutely incredible, and it shows in the championship standings with the gap that they do have. I mean, 62 points after 3 races, incredible start for them. And obviously, I mean, in terms of everyone else, it's so closely compact in that battle from 2nd all the way down to 9th, as you mentioned. Only 30 points separating them all. It's going to be very interesting to not only see if anyone can really try to reel in ET8, but also who's going to be gaining the ground in pretty much midfield battle now between the rest of the teams.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously the drivers are out on track. We're getting hot-footed quite literally into the session. We're pretty much starting on time tonight, which is a very rare occurrence, I've got to say, in EML. Coming in tonight, I've just noticed that there's no game sound, so let me fix that in just a second. When it decides to fix it, there we go. I think that should be fine. It should be now in sync. You can now hear the beautiful engine sound from TF10 Alex Marciano, the Brazilian, now coming through the right-hander of the final corner on the run toward the line. We'll see what the Team TF10 man can do on this run down in towards turn number 1. Telemetry will be turned off for the duration of the session. We'll try and flick it on, of course, as the session progresses. But Alex Marciano on the run now down in toward the right-hand of turn number 1 in that AlphaTauri, all reaching in speed in excess of 200 miles an hour down in toward the right-hander now of turn number 1. Flicking it left through turn number 2 and then through the left-hander of turn number 3. Not looking too bad there at all from him as he now comes in towards my favourite section out of the track. This first sector, this braking zone in towards turn number 4, really catches drivers out with a 28.7. Bang on where you want to be. Bang on the buck for Alex Marciano. Coming out through the right under turn number 5. Nearly flicking it there too much on the oversteer. Now coming through the double right of turn number 6 and in towards now the SA section at turn 7 to 11. This is turn 7. Then through the right hander of 8. Then through the left-hander of turn number 9. These really do come at you very quickly on this track. Through turn 10 now through the left-hander of turn number 11. Ferrari there on the left-hand side getting out the way. Don't think he's going to hit any more traffic as he comes through into the Ferrosol in the 56.4 in the middle sector. Not looking too bad at all from Alex Marciano's perspective. Now coming to the left-hander of turn 13 through the Ferrosol. Now in towards Peraltada where QBR Gary famously got hit into the wall in EML back in the past, as now Alex Marciano comes through the final corner on the run to the line with a 15.6 to start off the night. Not a bad run at all.
Absolutely not. Alex Marciano, another driver that's been improving steadily over the past couple of seasons, and through his PSGL results as well. Absolutely incredible. But immediately beaten by both Kegakowski and of course Talsbury.
Yeah, Taller's there out on top. Gakowski second. Volokongan there in third. ETA Paul very late come to actually Matteo. I know Matteo, I interviewed him after his race win in Legacy Division last night. He said he might not be able to make it. ETA Paul has made it, and he's there in fifth position early on as Erpek, his teammate, goes 3,000 quicker. Bettered, though, by the man who was on pole position on Monday in Austria. NLR Tim. Very, very good stuff from him at 15.2. Very late in the session, by the way, he got that pole position in Austria in PSGL PSF1. Got Keki on a lap time right now. EPL Stretch is a brand new signing as well to him, as Keki has gone fourth at that lap time. EPL Stretch is an interesting name, though. Former TTG man, former Rising Lions man, now part of the L Plan setup. L Plan currently have a plan with him, obviously, in mind. He's a very consistent driver on his day. Stretch is just on up on his lap, and he is going to get a bit of slipstream running down the straight here in towards turn number 4. But he is a name I'm very much looking forward to, because I've commentated him quite a lot, as Dirk there just goes 2/10 quicker ahead of everyone else. Stretch looking very good. EPL's newest signing, and looking to try and make sure that EPL, L-Plan, have got a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be hoping that his plan comes to perfection here tonight, as he is on a lap right now in that beautiful papaya orange McLaren coming through the S's right now. DRS wide open as we run down into the braking zone for the final sector, into the stadium section, where I'm not going to lie, obviously we've seen a lot of overtaking opportunities, especially in this final sector, and it's one of those ones where it's high risk, high reward in this final section in the stadium, of course.
Yeah, definitely so. EPL Stretch now on the run toward the line. We'll see what his lap time is going to be. 16.1 in the end. He is towards the bottom end of the field. He's a bottom end of the field driver, but he can set a very good lap time in qualifying and then transition that into the racing in terms of his race pace. But 16.1, not too bad at all from him. His teammate, however, in fifth position. Taller's probably the better, I've got to say, out of the EPL lineup here tonight. Of course, if you're brand new to Esports Masters League, I don't know what Esports Masters League actually is, and this is your first time tuning in, like Sane Star Killer, I think, is there in the chat. I think that might be one of Mike's friends, if I'm not mistaken. Dirk there out on top 2 in second, Fraser there in third. Esports Masters League, basically, it's a team event. Top 10 teams pretty much qualified through console. There was no qualifying event this season in Season 6, so it is basically 10 of the top teams on PlayStation doing out battle against each other in a really, really good environment. And I've got to say, with, 6 seasons gone, this is our 6th season now, I've got to say this season is probably the most competitive out of the whole lot. And this has even taken in the LR, the Leoness Racing, and IFR days back in Season 2, Season 3.
Yeah, of course, that is a name from the past. Of course, the Onus esports team, as you mentioned it, that is definitely a name from the past. And honestly, it's been fantastic over the course of the 6 seasons that we've had here in the Esports Masters League. A lot of racing, and obviously now this season being the first time as well, where we do have a PC tier as well. So just showing the growth here in the Esports Masters League.
Definitely so. PC Championship, very, very good, I've got to say. Josh Griffin, Meek, and Deathlink will be taking to the action on Sunday as well for that one. That is at 7 p.m. UK time, or 8 p.m. Regardless, just tune in at 7 p.m. if it's not at 7 p.m. and it's at 8 p.m. I forgot. I will have a look at the calendar a little bit later on just to confirm that. But Volokongan is the first man out on track for his second run. Potential to get 4 runs, actually, around this track here in Mexico. Volokongan is one of those guys to watch out for. Very consistent driver on his day. He's a multiple-time race winner, of course, in PSGL and indeed in other leagues as well. And now the Norwegians storming down in towards turn number 1. Let's see what Volokongan can do. He's got Kakowski ahead of him, Keki ahead of him, as it stands out on track with a 15.529. Gets a bit of slipstream. However, from a Team Shazoo perspective, that was very poorly timed.
Yeah, it didn't look very well coordinated between Volokongan and Dara there, and it'll be something that they will definitely be working on throughout the course of the session, because of course any advantage that you can get, whether it be slipstream down in towards turn number 1 or course down in towards turn number 4, it is incredibly ideal to take advantage of any little slipstream you can get. But coming into the S's now, Volokongan, this is where the lap is going to be won or lost, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's going to be one of loss through this SA section. Catch the curb, you might end up in the wall like drivers have done in the past here in Mexico. The only time we came here, I think, was in Season 3. 56.2 though in the middle sector with a 1/10 of a second improvement from Volokonga. Now hitting the Ferrosol. Could hit a bit of traffic actually coming Alpine ahead. It's one of the, is that one of the RCR cars, if I'm not mistaken? Coming through the right-hander now of turn number 16 at Peraltada. Now through turn 17 at the final corner where Bottas, of course, famously in the Protect barrier on the left-hand side. Volokonga not in the barrier there. Good lap time from him. He goes 8th fastest and stays actually in exactly the same position he was in. Alex Marciano, I think, is next to come across the line. He's up in that middle sector as well. 500's up now, coming through the left-hander. The turns 13, 14 and 15. This Ferrosol really, really good. About 800 metres above sea level here in Mexico as well. Dirk out on top, Tim in second, Fraser there in third. Alex Marciano now to the line and stays 11th, but did not improve again on that lap time. So improvements very hard to come by so far, Mike. There's Gatkowski I'm just flicking on board with. His 500's up through the first sector.
Yeah, and this middle sector looks very smooth, calm, and collected from Gatkowski now as he comes to the middle sector split. It's still marginally up on his previous lap time, so let's see if he can find anything in the final sector. And honestly, as his teammate just ahead, you'll hope that he'll be able to give a little bit of a tow for his teammate down the start-finish straight, which of course he will be doing now. But coming across the line now, Gatkowski, what's it going to be for the man in the Ferrari? And it was just a marginal decline on his lap in the final sector.
Oh, there's been an incident coming through the middle sector, I think, just into the final couple of corners, actually, through the Ferrosol. Looks like Sony has crashed there, right down the back end of the field. I'm not sure if there was an incident with another driver there. It might have been a Williams, but however, I think that was Keki actually around him. I think Keki got away with it. He's there in 6th fastest, 15.336. I think he was just setting up on a lap time, luckily, so avoided that. But Sony crashed in front of him. He's out of the session. RCR with Capitan down there in 19th. The captain of RCR, as he likes to call himself. He's down there in 19th position behind Stretch. Not great news for the bottom end team right now in RCR. Capitan there in 19th. Sony in 20th. Bottom of the field coming into tonight in terms of the points. So RCR have got it all to do even at this early stage. And this is still only, what, 6 minutes left to go in qualifying? Maybe just over that?
Yeah, I'm currently on board with CPI Fraser right now. Nearly 2 attempts up in the middle sector. This could be a contender to knock Dirk off provisional pole right now if he can find more time in the final sector. Coming through the final corner now. What can the CPI man do as he comes to the line? Is this going to be provisional pole for Fraser? And no, he just misses out by 400ths of a second.
Yeah, 400ths of a second indeed. Going to be really intriguing, I think, this session. Dirk there out on top, Fraser there in second. Dirk immediately setting the timing screens alight, obviously with that first lap. And that's his only run that he has done, actually, out on track. It's 6.5 minutes ago, just under that now. Dirk out on top, Fraser there in second, Keki there in third. Tim there in fourth as well, and Laura having a good showing. Hardy there in the chat saying Keki or Tim. What a stupid question. Clearly liking the loyalty for NLR here tonight. The head honcho, I should say, of NLR. Keki there and Tim doing a good job there in third and fourth. Fraser there going second. I'm going to put my bet on potentially Gatkowski. He's there in 8th position. Always comes alive in Legacy Division. If you've ever watched him in Legacy Division and CPI, he's got through to Q3, I think, twice out of the last 3 Legacy Division races in WR. So he has got very, very good form. Obviously, this is an 18-minute qualifying session, and the last 18-minute qualifying session that he did in Las Vegas was last night. Ended up, I think, in 16th, if I'm not mistaken. So Gatkowski definitely wants to try and better himself compared to last night. And certainly, CPR want to try and better themselves from last night as well, given the aggressive racing standards that we had last night.
Yeah, and of course, Gatkowski, a very, very good driver as well. I mean, I've had the privilege of commentating over him many times as well. So, I mean, definitely one capable of finding that time at the end of the session. We'll have to wait and see, though. Right now, Dirk out on top for TF10.
Yeah, definitely. So Dirk there, out on top from Fraser second, Keki there in third. 31 of you, by the way, tuning in. Even though it's a PSGL, PC F1 night, or PSF1 night if you're viewing on Twitch, at least Esports Masters League is giving you something alternative, which is really good. And hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream so far. If you are, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new to the channel. Of course, we've got more action to come on the Racing TV on Sunday. That is the PC Championship, the likes of Rising Lions in that, the likes of TF10 are in that as well. Going to be very interesting to see Josh Griffin, Meek, and Deathlink take me through the action, of course, on Sunday evening. That is at 7 PM, I believe, UK time, out on track. As Dirk, I'm going to fully focus on him. Volokongan there is just starting up on a run. We followed his lap previously, so I don't want to follow him on a run. But Dirk now coming in toward the final couple of corners. Can the pole man go even quicker? Could we see, Mike, with this lap time, a first 14 of the night?
I mean, potentially Dirk definitely has the capabilities of getting into the 14s, but we're going to have to see what he can do as he begins his lap now, heading down this long old straight down in towards turn number 1, where we should be seeing plenty of overtakes happen in the race.
Yeah, definitely so. We'll see what Dirk can do then on this run down in towards turn number 1. It's a very much a long run down in towards turn 1, near a kilometre run down in towards turn number 1. Now through the flick of 2, the left-hander 2, then through the right-hander turn number 3, flicking the car right, very nicely indeed, getting out of the way there. One of the Ferraris, I think, on the run down in towards turn number 4, and a 28.5, 3/10 down in the first sector, and that is because he made a mistake immediately coming through Peraltada. I'm not sure if you guys might have caught it on the stream. I definitely did as I was riding on board with him. He got caught in the outside curve, about a snap of oversteer, and basically when you have that snap of oversteer, you're going to lose time throughout this lap. He could make up through the middle sectors. Tales there gets an illegal blocking penalty. Thanks, Tales. We're going to be restarting the lobby as mandatory as usual. Now coming through the left-hander of this middle sector, and he's a 10th down, so he has gained time in this middle sector. Purple out of everyone, but he lost 3/10 just because of that mistake of Peraltada, and he's made another one there through the Parasol. Tokyo drifting coming through there from TF10 Dirk, just about recovered it, but my word, I think that's his teammate actually behind him, so he's going to give him a bit of slipstream. But Dirk, goodness me, if that was any closer and flicked any more to the right, he would have been in the wall.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of scenes that you do see on rally games more than F1 right there, as Dirk just losing his car and giving the tow down to number 1 for Alex Marciano. But honestly, right now, I think not only that little snap costing time down the start finish straight, I think potentially didn't have the slipstream that he might have had in the previous run. So maybe that just compiled it down into turn number 1. But the amount of time that he gained in sector 2 was absolutely incredible.
He gained 2/10 in that middle sector, so if he actually doesn't make that mistake coming through Peraltada, he could be, what, 2-3 up maybe on his lap coming through that middle sector on his next run. Drivers actually, guys mentioned in the chat there actually about the McLarens. I did see that on the mini-map as well between them both. It was Stretch and Tales. They're currently next to each other out on track as well on their lap time, just starting up. But because that illegal blocking penalty could have been forced, I'm sure there will be a mandatory restart regardless, but if teams do want to report that, they can. I didn't catch it on the stream. I only saw it on the mini-map on the right-hand side. And if that is the case, as Alex Marciano comes to the line and goes second, not a bad lap time at all there from him. But if the McLarens have done that, and it is a loophole in the rules and regulations, that loophole needs to be closed immediately to try and stop any other team from trying to benefit from a blocking penalty. And if that's the only illegal blocking that we get as well, that's going to look really bad from EPL side.
Yeah, coming on board with Tales now coming through the final corner. A lot of traffic in that middle sector, so didn't take the ideal lines for the S's. And I think only a marginal improvement for Tales in the end. But definitely there was more time there. But just unfortunate with just the traffic and being in sector 2 at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, definitely so. It is Dirk out on top. Alex Marciano second. Fraser there in third. If I was in Dirk's shoes, I wouldn't have retired, to be honest. I know Fraser's 4.1 seconds down through the first sector, but he looks like he's going to go for a run, as there goes his teammate for a spin. That was kind of hilarious, I've got to be honest. From Gatkowski spun, I think, coming through the corner, just on the outside, coming through the corner, just spun in front, maybe to warm up the tyres, maybe to get that run. I do that sometimes on an out lap on a formation lap in League of Europe, and to be honest, I wish more people did. Time is up, by the way. Dirk out on top, Alex Marciano in second, Fraser there in third. Fraser's not going to get another run in, so this is now game time for him. Game time for Urpek as well. He is done on terms of a run. Keki down by a 10th.5 through the first sector. Tales is down on a lap. Tim down on a lap through the first sector, but he could be improving in that middle. So I think NLR might be the team to watch out for here. Keki there in 5th, Tim there in 7th. Of course, only 18 minutes in qualifying. Volokongan as well is on a lap. I'm just going to pick up on board with him. I think he's on the run toward the line very soon indeed. 600 up on his lap time. Dara there goes 11th, so no bad lap time there at all from him. Volokongan to the line. That's more like it from Volokongan. 6th position for him. Not a bad lap time at all. Purple in the middle sector for Keki with a 56.2. Tim looking quite good as well in the middle sector, just in behind. He is improving above Keki at this moment in time, as now Keki comes through the final corner on the run to line. Can the Finn top the times? No, he can't. Can Tim top the times? Yes, he can, like he did on Monday in PSGL PSF1. Cometh the hour, cometh the moment. Tim out on top, not by, what, thousandths of a second like it was in Austria, but he's on top. Unless Stretch can do anything and Hario can do anything. I think they're both down on lap time. They are indeed. Tim out on top, Dirk in 2nd, Alex Marciano there in 3rd. Tim has done it once again. The 2nd time in 3 days he has done that. Tim is an absolute specialist when it comes to 1 lap pace.
Honestly, that was impressive. I only jumped on for the final sector with Tim. I just saw him cross the middle sector split, and he was up by just under 0.2 of a second, which obviously would have put him around Fraser, Alex Marciano, and Dirk's time, but just found that extra 10th in the final sector, and it was just so smooth from Tim, and a well-deserved pole position for the Neverlast Racing driver.
Yeah, definitely so. Tim out on top, Dirk there in 2nd, Alex Marciano there in 3rd. Baz saying in the chat, sad you didn't let him do a 0.8. There could have been more in that time, let's be honest. There could have been more in that time from Tim. And honestly, since he joined NLR, he's really moulded into that team. Not a dishonest approach to OP or CPI or any other team that's had him in the past, but OP certainly brought him into the driver that he is, and now NLR are moulding him into the driver that he will become, which is always good to see. And it is Tim out on top, from Dirk there in 2nd, Alex Marciano there in 3rd with Fraser in 4th, Keki there in 5th, Urpek 6th with Volokongan in 7th, Tales if there is an illegal blocking penalty, and that is the only one of the session. He's there down in 8th position, might not get a restart like per PC. Phil in 9th, Ismo in 10th, then Paul in 11th, Fleddy there in 12th, Stretch in 13th, he would be 14th I think. Tales, if I'm not mistaken. Dara there in 14th for now. Darth FIFA, then Gatkowski, then Hario, Andreas, and then Capitan and Sony. Sony not getting that lap time in, of course, right down the bottom end of the field. We are going to be back after our intermission break from Next Level Racing. We'll be back with you in 30 seconds. Welcome back, everyone, to Esports Masters League. I was about to say WR there. Back to Esports Masters League. EJ and Adam top coming into tonight. CPI in 2nd, NLR there in 3rd as the standings show there on the grid. Quickly, I will take a photo of that because I'm going to go off this now. Because the drivers are out on track. There is no confirmed restart, so there is going to be no restart, which means Tales is going to be starting from 13th position. Everyone else below Tales, like 5 positions below, so 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, will all move up a position as a result. And because that was potentially team games from EPL, it has that bad luck on them, and obviously presents the case of there's a loophole within the rules and regulations. They've exploited it. It needs to be filled.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course that will be looked into by the admin team here at the Esports Masters League to prevent any more of this kind of shenanigans. But I mean, Tim on pole position. It's going to be a long run down in towards turn number 1. James, what do you reckon? Do you reckon we're going to get four wide into turn 1?
4-5 wide? Yeah, please. I really want to see that. I mean, we had, 4-5 wide in Las Vegas last night in Legacy Division. Here we go, though. The 5 lights are about to go out here for Mexico. Round number 4 of the championship is about to begin. And it is lights out, and away we go, and Tim gets a very good start. Alex Marciano gets a brilliant start. He could actually filter in the Tim slipstream running down in towards turn number 1. Tim has a better start, but Alex Marciano is going to be the one catching speed and catching pace on the run down on the outside line in towards turn number 1. Dirk on the inside line, could be 3 wide into turn 1. TF10 already want to go for the race lead. They can't, and Tim will lead coming through turns 2 and 3. Alex Marciano getting there, hanging it at Fleddy and Gatkowski into the side of each other further down the field. It looks like Dara is in trouble there as well, dropping down the field behind Sony and Capitan. But Tim there leads the way through the first sector. Alex Marciano in second, Dirk there in third, Fraser there in fourth, trying to get now Keki for fourth even. Fraser there in fifth, Volokong in sixth, Urpek, Phil, Paul and Ismail rounding off the top 10. Barring the instant further down the field with Gatkowski and Fleddy, everyone I think has got away scot-free.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was on board with a 3 wide moment between Keke, Volokong and Fraser as he went through turn 3. Yeah, you've only just started and there's Volkonga now up in the P5, but my god, that was fantastic at the start.
Apologies, by the way, by Mike coming through like TARDIS like that. I think I just sent a message on WhatsApp and it just lagged everything. Tim leading the way, Alex Marciano in second, Dirk there in third, Keki there in fourth. Towards the end of lap 1, everyone's on a set of hards or a set of medium compound tyres. Indicates to me it is going to be a dry race. Indicates to me also we could see one-stop strategies. Potentially the guys on the mediums are stretched there as into the pit lane, and he is down at the back end of the field for EPL. Not a great start for him, not a great start for Tales either. Paul now on the back of Ismail running down towards turn number 1, pulls to the right hand side of the track in towards turn 1. The Haas there on the outside line now for the inner of turn number 2. I think is going to hold sway. Paul there on behind will try and get Ismail. Ismail, of course, WR driver. Paul, of course, ET8 replacing Matteo here tonight. And Paul, well, who needs Matteo when you've got Paul pulling off a move like that to the inside line, around the outside of turn number 4. Easy as you like. Paul through and he's into 9th. As there's also battles with Dara and Sony further down the field.
Yeah, good overtake there for Paul on Ismail, and as you mentioned there, Dara and Sony going side by side in the middle sector, and look at that, Kigakowski getting through, and I'm pretty sure I just saw, I'm pretty sure on that Ferrari there's a missing end plate.
Let's have a look. Gatkowski, you are right, left side end plate damage I think on that car. It is indeed. Gatkowski has got left side end plate damage on that car. Not great news for him. I was bigging him up towards the start of the session, saying he could be doing well in qualifying. Look where he is now. He's down in 19th position. CPI are going to have me. Tim lead the way. Alex Marciano in second. Dirk there in third. Keki there in fourth. Early on, Gatkowski got involved in an incident with Fleddy, but I think that left side end plate damage has then come from an incident with Sony, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the case, as he comes into it along with Dara, so it might have been Dara actually picking up the front wing damage as well, as Tales is on the back of Ismail and towards turn number 1. All happening toward the mid-pack of the field right now. Everyone is clean through now, coming through turns 2 and 3 once again. Position changes early on. 4 positions gained for Hyrio, Andreas, the ex-esports guys, along with Capitan, Captain for RCR, and Sony there getting 3 as well. Most positions lost. That man down at the back end of the field, EPL stretching the tyres, hopefully to a 2-stop. He's back into the pit lane, however. Obviously picked up more damage as Darth FIFA doesn't belong on FIFA right now. He tries to get the move done on Hyrio, and he just about holds sway. Hyrio was looking for the move, lets Andreas through, and Hyrio there, the Frenchman, being very aggressive there on the back of the WR man, as we get a beautiful helicopter shot coming through the mid part of the lap.
Yeah, those two were just glued to each other there, coming through turns 5, 6, and on the exit of turn 6. Fair play, Ario did have to back out of that, because it would have been an almighty collision if he didn't. But yeah, Andreas through now, up ahead of his teammate, and now he gets to go after Darfy for you.
Yeah, definitely. So Frank there saying in the chat, he had the same PSGL as well. I think that's in relation potentially to Fleddy down in 16th position. He is still on the back though of the guys out on track, which is good for him. Andreas on the back of Darth FIFA making light work down the straight in towards turn number 1, down in toward the SA section once again, and there goes Hario to the inside line as well on the back of Darth FIFA. All of this battle happened further down the field. Up top, Tim leads the way by 0.4 of a second from Alex Marciano in second, Turk there in third. We'll have a look at battery life very soon indeed as Hario passes Darth FIFA down the straight in towards turn number 4. Easy as you like for the Red Bull. He's through and he's into, unlucky for some, 13th position. Sony had damage coming through the middle sector. Spawn, I think, coming through the right-hand return number 11, if I'm not mistaken. And that is him now out of the race and out of the running, pretty much. Stretching him. Definitely want to try and get a safety car, as do Dava and as do Gatkowski as well. Dirk applying pressure Just see, mate, Alex Marciano there, not keeping the pace right now. If you were if you were in TF10 shoes right now, Mike, Dirk looking quicker than Alex Marciano. Alex Marciano visibly losing ground on the back of Tim. I would think down the straight, swap the cars over because you've got your quicker driver ideally behind.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be the ideal situation. Obviously, Dirk will have to make sure he's as close to the back of Alex as possible to obviously limit the hindrance on Alex's race, as well as for Dirk getting through as well. But they do have Kiki directly in behind, so they have to be very careful about how they time this by you.
Yeah, definitely. So, obviously, you haven't listened to me this lap around because they're still in line and stern formation running in towards turn one. Somebody that isn't, though, Tales to the inside on, and Ismail makes very light work, actually, of the Haas there. Job done for the EPL man. He is doing his into 10th. Ismail there in 11th. Andreas there in 12th. Not looking too bad there at all. Hopefully you're enjoying the stream so far. Like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new to the channel. We are here on lap 5 out of 36. It's Tim that leads the way from Alex Marciano in second, Dirk there in third, Keki there in fourth right now. Of course, coming into the championship, a reminder of the points coming into tonight. ET8 leading the way on 137, CPI second on 75, NLR and TF10, the two top teams right now, first and fourth and second and third respectively, as Dara picks up a 3-second penalty. They're on 70, TF10 on 68. So, NLR and Team TF10, as it stands right now, are going to be having a big payday in terms of points. ET8 falling by the wayside. Their best team, their best driver at the minute is Urpek in 7th. ET8 Paul there in 9th. And then, CPI, further down the field, they're, well, Gatkowski in 18th. Fraser, their best man, in 6th position. So, pretty much ET8 have got one driver technically up there with Urpek. And then Fraser is up there for CPI as well. So, against CPI, against NLR and TF10, it's going to be a bit of a task, I think, for them to try and get their second drivers up there.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed over the course of this lap as well, Andreas Roscoe fell outside that 1 second window, and you can see just how that has split the field, as now Hario is ahead, but 1.3 is the gap, and Andreas picking up a 3-second time penalty. And that's one thing that we didn't actually mention too much about. How crucial it's going to be for these guys to keep their warnings to a minimum because of just the nature of the 3-second time penalties around this circuit.
Yeah, definitely so. Tim on top, Alex Marciano in second, Dirk there in third. 43 of you, by the way, watching the stream now. Not sure if PCF1 has ended early or if we're just maybe there on a downslope in terms of viewers. I don't know. Tim, though, leading the way. Alex Marciano in second, Dirk there in third. As soon as I said Alex Marciano was the one falling back, look where he is now. He's 3/10 behind Tim. Not looking too bad at all, the AlphaTauri man on the back of the Williams. Now in towards the right-hander of turn number 16 at Peril Tada once again. We'll see what Alex Marciano can do. Maybe on the run down in towards turn 1. As Dara there has left the session. Mike, if you can try and get him back in, please try and do so, as we will turn the telemetry on. Here comes Alex Marciano for the race lead. And do you know what? I bet a bottom dollar that Dirk's going to try and go for the move as well. But it is Alex Marciano into the race lead. Tim there in second, Dirk there in third. Dirk, of course, very, very quick in PSGL on Monday as well on F2. Looking to try and get a good result here in Mexico once again. TF10 team now, first and third. NLR second and fourth. If you're a fan of Symmetry, welcome.
Yep, absolutely. I am going to have to send Dara a friend request so he can rejoin. So let's go. Bear with me. I will try to get him back in as soon as possible.
No worries at all. Tim there on the back of Alex Marciano, still trying to pressurise actually the back. Current penalties, by the way, at this early stage in the race. Javier's got 3, Andreas has got 3, and Dara's got 3 as well. And he's actually losing time to Gatkowski with him being in AI right now. Looking through the chat as well, people saying about Gatkowski, yeah, he had front wing damage, unfortunately. Did the man down in 18th position, soon to be 17th when he passes Dara. Hario now picking a 6 seconds worth of time penalties up because it's his second penalty of the night. Very hard actually to try and not run over track limits around this track. I've been here before. You guys have probably been here before. As Urpek there flies to the inside line on Fraser. Halfway down the straight we go, and Urpek flies past Fraser. CPI and ET8 need their points. They definitely need to work together, I think, at this stage of the race. Through needs into stick Urpek through it down into 7th. Is Fraser for CPI as Dirk tries to apply pressure now to the back of NLR. Tim on the back of Dirk. Keki riding behind on this as well. So second coming maybe for NLR with their driver in behind. Keki could try and move. Dirk, though, to the inside line, powers down the inside of turn number 4, tries to get the car stopped, barely a front wing in it, now coming through the right-hander of turn number 5, into the right-hander of turn number 6, Dirk trying to go all the way around the outside, Tim still there on the inner, now Dirk's got the inside line for turn number 7, it should be job done for the Team TF10 man, it's not, because Tim goes back around the outside and says, have that, Tim! Thuney's into second, gives Alex Marciano a gap of 1.2 seconds out in front, but that was marvellous racing, brilliant in terms of defence and attack, brilliant stuff. Tim there through the second, Dirk there in third, safety car deployed out on truck as Hario was crashed there through the SA section at turn number 9.
Yeah, Hario the session. I'm going to go on board with Kigakowski just to see if... oh, there we go, the cards actually disappeared before then. But yeah, I was going to see exactly where Hario has lost it to, whether it was on approach to the S's in the first corner, or whether he just lost it on the curbs. But yeah, Dara should now be able to rejoin if he does accept my friend request, of course. If he doesn't, then I can't send an invite back in. So if anyone here is part of Team Shazoo, make sure you get Dara to accept my friend request so I can invite him back in.
Yeah, definitely so. It seems like drivers have actually taken the double stack approach in terms of Team TF10 and NLR anyways, because look where they are now. Keki's there down in 7th, Dirk's there in 5th. And look who that brings into play, Team Shazoo and ETA once again. So, it is going to be a whole strumming effect in terms of this safety car. Safety car deployed out on track as a result of Hario losing it through the SA section. I can probably imagine what he's done. Dara's back in the session, which is good. What I can imagine from Hario, I think he's lost it coming through turn number 9. That inside curb at turn number 9, there's a bit of a sausage there on the inside. If you ride that, you're going to end up pretty much spinning off. He's probably lost it through turn 7 and 8, and then through turn number 8. Obviously, the wall's on the right-hand side. That's where I think he's gone off. And there, unfortunately, out of the race goes Hario. And he did replace Jeslar in the field as well. So Jeslar, obviously, not going to be happy. X Esports not going to be happy as well. They've got Andreas still in the race there in 12th position. For Hario there, out of the race, not ideal for X Esports and their task to try and get to establish themselves as a really good mid-pack team in this stage of the season. But we are a quarter of the way through. Alex Marciano leads now from Tim in 2nd, Volokongan in 3rd, then Erpek in 4th, Dirk there in 5th, Fraser 6th, Keki in 7th, Phil there in 8th, Teller's there in 9th, and then Ismail ran off the top 10 with Paul in 11th, Andreas in 12th, Capitan 13th, FIFA 14th, Freddy there in 15th. Not sure if Dara has actually came into the pit lane himself or his AI brought him in, because he's on 6-lap-old set of soft compound tyres down in 16th position. He'll definitely be coming back in the pit lane. Gatkowski 17th, then Sony in 18th, and then Stretch there in 19th position. Myself, James Head, and Michael Edwards taking you through the action here tonight in Mexico City, in Mexico, at the Autodromo at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. I was going to say Autodromo Jose Carlos Pacha there, but that's Brazil. That is probably towards the end of the season if Brazil is on the calendar. But Alex Marciano on top, Tim in 2nd, Volokongan then 3rd, Dara is back into the pit lane. But this poses the question now, Mike. Medium compounder tyres, 26 laps in this race left, potentially 25 if the safety car comes in this lap, potentially 24 if it comes in next lap. And that could mean, with Sony and Dara coming in the pit lane, it will be next lap around. But what that does mean, set of medium compounder tyres are going to be very, very hard to get to the end of the race. I think their lifespan is, 15, 16 laps around this track? So they're going to all have to come in for a 2-stop.
Yeah, of course. I do believe that we'll probably see these guys maybe do a set of mediums and end the race on a set of soft tyres, of course, trying to get a fastest lap and everything as well. It will be interesting to see what these guys do, and obviously, I mean, there are a couple of clouds in the sky, but it doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere near intermediate conditions, or whether it will go to rain at all. The one thing I'm curious about, though, James, is obviously under the safety car period, it has brought the likes of Kigakowski back into it. It's brought the likes of Dara back into it. Stretch as well, down there in 19th, he's been brought back into it as well. And this is going to be so crucial for Team Shazoo, for CPI, and for EPL, if those 3 drivers can somehow try to make their way through the field and up the order.
Yeah, you'd like to imagine so, I would think. Certainly the case. I think throughout the field, obviously on a set of medium compounder tyres, the further you are down the field, the less time you're going to have, basically, to try and make inroads. Only if you're on a fresher tyres. The likes of Fleddy, I'm looking at, down in 15th position. On that Telesoft compounder tyre, he'll be the one that's making ground early on in this session. Gatkowski as well, set of medium compound tyres, not too fresh. Dara, Sony and Stretch, they're going to have a real, pardon the pun, stretch in terms of getting those tyres towards the end of the race, so they may as well come in. Dara is back in, Fleddy is back in. I wonder if this is under a set of hard compound tyres. It is. Set of hard compound tyres for Dara, which is an old set. Fleddy's on a set of hard compound tyres and comes out of his pit box. So, Fleddy and Dara in set of hard compound tyres. Sony looks like he's doing the same thing as well. Actually, he goes into a set of softs. Stretch stays out there on a set of mediums. So Dara, in my eyes, is not going to get to the end of the race on those tyres. Fleddy can just about manage it, I think. But it is going to be very, very difficult, even on that set of hards, to get to the end of the race from here.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I think that, I mean, the hards, I mean, what was the lifespan of them? What was it, about 20 plus laps in there that they can do around this circuit before they absolutely fall off a cliff?
I am just loading my notes up just to double check this. The table that we've been provided with and that I've done, 26 laps I'd say is the lifespan, optimal 22 to 23 and about a 9/10 loss per lap on a set of soft compound tyre around this track as well. That's the C2 compound tyre as safety car is coming in this lap. So set of hards, 26 lap lifespan. If that is the case, they should be able to manage it to the end of the race. However, puncture territory is going to be definitely key around this track here in Mexico. We come into the Ferrosol for the 12th time, well, better go on to lap 12. Alex Marciano now virtual Burt Malander. He's now virtual safety car, and he can now dictate the pace to whatever he wants. The Dutchman of Tim in behind, Volokongen the Norwegian in behind that as well. Watch out for Urpek off this race start. The drivers now beginning to get going into the Ferrosol. He's about to get going. The camera angles are very nice, but I'd love to see the action coming through Paveltada. Now he says go, Alex Marciano. Coming through the final corner, on the run toward the line. Tim there in second, and look at Urpek. I did say watch out for Urpek. Didn't really mean that he was going to lose the position. Dirk now getting the move on Urpek down the straight. I'm not sure if that was before the start-finish line. It might have been just after. Down in towards turn one, it's 3 wide. Volokongen on the back of Tim. Tim on the back of Alex Marciano. He tries to go on the inside line now for turn number 2. Can't, and Alex Marciano hangs on. Dirk there having a flying start. The Team TF10 man gets outdone by Volokongen on traction. Volokongen and Dirk though, side by side down the straight. Urpek, you're right, is on the back of him. Running in towards turn number 4. Keki and Fraser are going to go side by side. And Fraser tries to make it 2 wide around the outside of Urpek. Now for the inside of turn number 5, trying to get the job done in the Ferrari on the inside line. Now for turn number 6, can Fraser find a way through on Urpek? Urpek is still there, hanging on for 5th. Fraser's still there in 6th. They remain as they are. Urpek 5th, Fraser there in 6th. Alex Marciano leads, Tim in 2nd, Dirk there in 3rd. Dirk the real gainer, Urpek the real loser in all of that.
Yeah, and of course, that side-by-side action between Dirk and Volokongen, it was a real opportunity for Urpek to really get himself into that fight, but he elected to stay behind, and I think Dara, I think, has lost it and has gone around. But there was a real opportunity for Urpek, but he elected to stay behind, and that put him under serious pressure from Fraser in behind.
Well, it's smart because look at his battery, 73% of battery. Fraser's got 63, Volokongen's got 55. It's very smart from Urpek just to remain that bit of battery back, not to try and attack everyone, and obviously take the sting basically out of those tyres, especially if you want to try and get to the end of the race, which I think is going to be a real task, as Tales there goes the inside line now on the back of IRT. Phil under pressure now from the McLaren, coming through the right-hander now of turn number 3, into the left-hander now of turn number 4, but Tales, I think, is going to be off the pace down in towards turn number 4. Watch out for Gatkowski making a move now on the inside line in towards turn number 4. Ismail on the outside line. Gatkowski to the inside line, trying to get the job done now for the outside of turn number 4. Has done a move around here before, now for turn number 5 and in towards the right-hander now of turn number 6, the double right at turn 6. Gatkowski now for the inside line, gets the traction, use a bit of battery up. Has he got the inside line? Ismail will not back off, he does back off in the end. Gatkowski through and he's into 12. Nice driving there by Ismail, didn't want to try and risk the car, didn't want to try and risk it because obviously he's got his teammate in behind, so didn't want him to be collected up in any sort of instant that might have happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Ismail as well, obviously smart driving from him just to back out of that one there. Gatkowski though making moves early on, climbing up the order, already now up into P12, looking on the back of Andreas, who has that time penalty to his name already. So I mean, effectively right now, trying to chase down a top 10 finisher, which will be fantastic for the CPI team.
And speaking of coming, here comes Tim for the race lead on the back of Alex Marciano as well. He's on the back there of the Williams of turn number 2, on the back, in fact, in second position, I should say. Through turn number 2 and 3 they come. Tim was going to look for the move there. I think, obviously, with the ERS being enabled, there is only 2 DRS detection zones around this track as well. Of course, Fraser and Keki are side by side. Around the outside of turn number 4, perhaps from Fraser?
Around the outside turn number 4 from Keki there. We gained the inside from turn number 5 and job done into turn 6.
Well, he is an F1 Esports Challengers man at the end of the day. Keki, of course, was on the podium in Brazil, and there finds that. Now, maybe to say, yeah, I might be an old man, but honestly, I can still play it with the best of you, and Keki there in 6th gets the job done on Fraser, Phil there in 8th position. Don't think he's going to take too kindly, to be honest, to the old man comment. I don't think NLR are going to take too kindly to that either. He's an old guard, let's put it that way. Alex Marciano in the lead, Tim there in 2nd, Dirk there in 3rd, Volokongan in 4th, Urpek there in 5th. Tim now on the back of Alex Marciano once again, coming to the right-hander of turn number 17 at Peraltada on the run to the line. Beautiful camera shot, actually, coming through with this DRS detection point. Of course, shared down through this part of the track and then down in towards turn number 4. No separate DRS detection point, and that's why Tim goes for the race lead now, applies that pressure. Also, Urpek's going to go for the move on Volokongan as well for 4th position. Urpek there right on the back of turn number 2, then through the right-hander turn number 3. Now, the DRS is enabled now coming through this part of the lap, but because they've got the same DRS detection point, if you're outside of a second, like Dara is right down in the back of the field, you've got absolutely no chance in trying to catch back up when you go outside of that second round. But Tim there leading the way, Alex Marciano in 2nd, Dirk there in 3rd. All of a sudden, Tim's trying to make a bid for glory, I think. Alex Marciano in 2nd, 8.5 cents down. This is exactly what I said earlier on. Alex Marciano seems to me now the slower driver of Team TF10. I'll say that now. Look at the gap. A second. He's going back out.
Yeah, Alex Marciano dropping a second now to Tim. So I think now would be a smart time for that switch between the TF10 drivers, as Dirk will be able to use our DRS and not only get past on Alex, but goes back in on Tim as well. And we should be seeing a change between the TF10 teammates now down the start-finish straight.
Yeah, I'd like to imagine so. Obviously, Volokongan 7 tenths behind as well. He just made a mistake, actually, through Peraltada, and now has got Urpek right on the back of him. And you do not want a rampaging Italian, an Italian stallion on the back of you down in towards turn 1 in Urpek. But he is just saving up that battery once again. And as you said there, Mike, as well, Dirk getting the move done on Alex Marciano there, getting through, and he's into 2nd position. But Tim now leading the way. If I was in NLR shoes right now, do you know what I'd be saying? I'd actually say, right, try and steal this race. Look at the ERS now he's used up. 13-14%. Dirk has got 40. Alex Marciano's got 8. So Alex Marciano now can recharge the battery. Dirk can now go off in pursuit of NLR. It's a risky tactic for NLR to try and get this off and try and just string out the field. I did this in League of Europe in Bahrain, where obviously there's a big old DRS train around there. I thought, oh, I'll get somebody outside of a second. I think it was NSX Bosnia. I got them outside of a second, and then all of a sudden the gap was about 2.5 seconds, and I was like, okay, I haven't moved too much battery up. So Tim there leading the way, definitely want to try and follow my footsteps in Bahrain there. And Tim, not sure if NLR have been watching that race at all, but certainly that seems the case for Tim, now trying to get away from Dirk, and then put everyone else on the front foot in behind on the back of the TF10 balls.
Yeah, of course, I think obviously smart driving for Tim, just trying to make sure he gets away, break away from DRS, and then he can go into control the gap mode now, which is key for him. And obviously, he got his teammate right now in P6 as Alex Marciano gets back through on Dirk, and I don't think that's ideal, because that look at the back of Alex's car flashing red as Dirk's gone wide. That could open things up for Volokongan potentially, and in fact he stays in behind. But that flashing red light on the back of Alex Marciano's car is not ideal if these guys want to be closing back up to Tim. Yeah,
if you're brand new to Formula 1 as well, don't know what that flashing red light is all about. Normally it means there's rain conditions out on track and you can't see the car ahead of you. Obviously in bone dry conditions like this in Mexico, it means you're under 10% of ERS. And that's exactly what Alex Marciano was doing. Now on board with helicopter cam, coming through this middle sector, 5% of ERS. They've swapped the drivers obviously to try and get that little bit of pace. But with battery at what, 2%? In fact, he's running out of battery even in toward the Ferrosol. Dirk there in third. I think they've got to make a ploy here, Team TF10. They've got to say, right, Dirk, you've got to get in pursuit. I'm going to try and follow you within slipstream. I'll hold up Volokongan and Urpek in behind. That's what that's what Team TF10 have got to do as their ploy, I think, if they want to work together. Because look at the gap. It's 1.8 seconds. The gap is just consistently going out. Alex Marciano can't keep up down the straight. Dirk there can't keep up. And all the rest of the field are now getting strung out. NLR have possibly pulled off if he can make it to the end of the race and not come in unless there's obviously two-stop strategies at play. If there is, he's now breaking away for the race win here, and everyone else is going to be off in pursuit for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and perhaps the points all the way down into 19th.
Yeah, this is obviously not ideal if you are TF10, but this is incredibly ideal if you are Neverlast Racing, because Tim now over 2 seconds clear of Alex Marciano, and it's just falling back even more. Alex Marciano does not have the ERS to really close in the gap. Dirk potentially does, but Dirk just not able to make the move thus far and get ahead of Alex and stay ahead. And that's it. That's the issue right now. She got Volokongan.
Saw that on the helicopter cam, and I was like, is he going to really try and go for that? He didn't in the end. Urpek there and Keki there in 6th. I'll let you finish off your point.
I mean, what I was going to say is obviously it's creating a situation now where, I mean, as you just saw there with Keki going for that move on Urpek, I think the further along that Alex stays ahead of Dirk by here, the more risky it's going to be for TF10, because Volokongan, Urpek and Keki will be making moves on them soon, as Kekakowski's out of this race.
Kakowski is out of the race, and Volokongan goes for 2nd to the inside line. That's not on the TF10 playbook whatsoever. That is bad management, I think, from Team TF10. I'm just going to say it now. I think it's bad management because they're fighting their drivers and swapping the positions. Now Volokongan's in 2nd. They're going to try and get Volokongan to do the donkey work. But when he's only got 33% of ERS and Tim's got 10% and it can actually save up that battery quite considerably, Volokongan 2.5 seconds in behind. There's got to be somebody out of this pack to try and chase him down, because otherwise they're letting, basically, the tortoise get away from the hare. Quite literally. Tim leading the way, 2.3 seconds. Gap is closing down now through this middle sector. Volokongan looking very strong in this middle sector. 2.2 seconds the gap. But once he uses up that battery is gone, and he will not be anywhere near a second within DRS on the back of Tim, even if Tim saves up his battery. Tim has got this race win pretty much in his back pocket right now, even at this stage of the race. Leading the way, 2.5 seconds. Volokongan, Peraltada, not his favourite corner, you can tell, because he's just lost 0.3 of a second through there. And now Dirk has got to be sent off back in pursuit, as there's a yellow flag, and I think there might be for Stretch in trouble coming through the further side. Dirk there to the inside line, now and towards turn number 1. And because they're fighting now, Mike, Volokongan now swapping with Dirk. Dirk there in 2nd, Volokongan in 3rd. Somebody is going to have to take ownership of chasing Tim down. Otherwise, they've just let him go.
Yeah, I mean, someone has to try and claw in the gap to Tim. The one thing I think a lot of these teams will be thinking about right now is pit stop strategy. Like, you have to undercut Tim now, really, to get onto the back of him at this point in the race.
Yeah, Matteo actually making a very good point. Volokongan cooking, he says, in the chat, and saying there will be another stop. Yeah, that's what I'm going on as well. Even if I think there's another stop, Tim comes in before these guys, out-jukes everyone. He's got a big undercut. Undercut strategy around here is around about 4 or 5 seconds if you leave it lap upon lap. So once it's over a 3-lap period, I think it's going to be around about 5 seconds, the undercut. So if anybody decides to come in earlier and try and get that advantage out on track, they're going to have that 4 or 5 second undercut, as we now see the drivers filter through in towards Peraltada once again. Urpek is definitely now hunting on the back of Alex Marciano, down the straight in towards turn 1. He's got about 40% of battery to try and utilise up. He's going to have to come at him. He sees that red fuel light flashing. He is now going to get him, maybe even Volokongan then in towards turn number 1 as well. He now looks to the outside line. In towards turn number 1 does Urpek. The Italian goes around the outside of Team TF10's Alex Marciano. Job done for Urpek. He's through and he's into 4th. And I tell you what, Mike, he's the one to watch out for right now, as Tales is certainly a man to watch out for. He's through on Phil for 8th.
Yep, Charles through us. Keke down side by side with Alex Marciano into towards turn number 4 as the...
Oh, as Mike has disconnected on my end.
Team TF10's Hosa, fantastic result here, is literally going down the drain right now.
Apologies, Mike. We didn't catch any of that. I'm not sure if I disconnected or you disconnected there.
I am heartbroken.
Well, you literally kicked back in just as you were finishing, so at least we got you back in the end. Nothing happened on OBS. I think it might have just been a bit of a glitch in the Discord system, but Tim there leading the way. 2.5 seconds. Look at the gap now. Dirk's gone off in pursuit. He's trying to save up his battery, though. 56% of ERS. Again, they're letting Tim go. But if there's another pit stop to come, if Mateo was right and I'm right in terms of thinking there's another pit stop, we are going to see drivers filter through, probably in around 2 or 3 laps time, I think, to come on to set us off compound ties to the end of the race. Here comes Tales now, on the back of Alex Marciano, down in towards turn number 1. Alex Marciano ties are done! Oh, there's complete desync between them both, coming through turn number 1. Alex Marciano around, Tales there around as well. I'm not sure if Alex Marciano was having a bit of desync on his end, and that's why he was dropping back on our end. But there's an incident there. Stewards are going to have a look into that. That was, to me, clear desync.
Yeah, that completely looked like desync for me there. Just looking at that incident itself, definitely looked like desync. I mean, what I was saying before I was cutting out in that was that TF10's up with a fantastic result here. Has literally gone down the drain because of Alex's lack of ERF's management here. But with that incident, it just makes it even worse for the team TF10 lads.
Yeah, I was going to say, before that incident, he was looking on the back foot. It looked like his tyres were going. And as a result, now Alex Marciano's down the field. I think it's all the more reason for Dirk to try and push now. 56% of ERS, there's no excuse. He's let Tim go. He's let Tim go, and he might be of the expectation that he can try and save that up. As now we get the first pit stops. Erpek and Keki are in. We should see them on to set us off compound ties. If they are, as Keki has picked up a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with Erpek. I just rode on board with them as soon as they came into the pit limiters, so I will see if there was a touch there between them both. Set of medium compound tyres actually going on that car, and Erpek there on the back of Keki. Looks like Keki went pretty much overspeeding into the pit lane there. Erpek there in front of him, and in the end, Keki could have been reset to track. Luckily he wasn't, but he's gone into the back of Erpek, and that's a 5-second penalty for NLR, so 1 up, 1 down it seems potentially for NLR tonight.
Yeah, and of course with Keki making the pit stop now, surely Tim's making the pit stop now on this lap. So I think Dirk and Volokongan have absolutely shot themselves in the foot in terms of the strategy by here, because I think they definitely needed the undercut on Tim to really close that gap in, and I don't think they're going to get it now.
Yeah, NLR mentioned in the chat, I think Evan there in the chat mentioned it could get removed. It could potentially get removed. As I say, I was very late to the party in terms of camera work on that. So POV will be very important. It will be looked at, of course, by the stewards. As Tim now comes through the final corner, doesn't listen to Mike and the commentary box, stays out another lap. Coming now through, Dirk is in. Dirk is into the pit lane, along with Fraser, I think, in behind, coming in. Volokongan, I think, is going to continue on along with Paul. Tales is also into the pit lane out of this front group. So Tim now leading the way, 4.4 seconds over the gap. Tim has to come in next lap, I think, to cover off Dirk. He realised that the time was on his side, about 3.2 seconds before Dirk decided to come into the pit lane. So if that is the case, it's Darth FIFA passing Fleddy down the straight in their own private battle. We have forgot completely, by the way, about Fleddy, because he's there on that set of hard compound tyres. Lifespan I've got in my notes of 26 laps on a set of hards. There is a possibility, Mike, that Fleddy could still get to this end, to the end of the race. And there's a possibility with how Keki and Dirk are in behind, that he could actually still remain there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 9.5 seconds gap between Fleddy and Keki. Yeah, it's stretch falling down the order. The one thing I am going to say right now, Erpek gets through on Dirk, and a fantastic overtake from Erpek. Now up into what's essentially a net P2 right now. What I was going to say though is that Keki got the undercut on Dirk here, so the undercut coming in strong for the Netherlands Racing Man, and even with that 5-second time penalty, Keki now can control the rest of the field for Tim in this race.
He definitely can, and Tim has responded. So Tim is into the pit lane. Dirk is there in behind Erpek. They're coming through the Ferrosol. Tim is into the pit lane. Pit lane loss around this track, about 22 seconds on average, as Dara there has retired from the session into the pit lane. He was a lap down, I think, at the time. So Tim into the pit lane, and he is... Oh, I thought he was going to front wing change. That was very, very hard to try and get in. Keki is now going to be behind Tim. This is perfect for NLR. If they get this 5-second penalty removed, NLR looking pretty good right now. Urpek now gapped out to a second. Dirk now on the back of Urpek in towards turn 1. Flies past him down the straight in towards turn 1. Gets the job done. So this race now in ploy for NLR. Interval timings will fix themselves with Tim and Darth FIFA through the first sector, hopefully. But Tim now in the net lead of this race. Keki is in a net second. Fleddy, by the way, did decide to come in on that sort of hard compound tyres, so clearly did not listen to me in terms of potentially staying out there and potentially getting a very good result for IRT.
Yeah, Fleddy opting to come in and put on a fresh set, well, a freshish set of soft compound tyres. But I think now the only hope that the likes of Dirk and Urpek and Fraser have in this race now is a mutual agreement to essentially work together in this, because obviously Nevertheless Racing can 2v1 this right now.
Yeah, Mateo saying in the chat the lobby is messed up, gaps aren't correct. They'll fix themselves, I think, as they come across the line this lap. Hopefully they will. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare for us to try and decide what it is. Tim there, 3.5 seconds in behind Darth FIFA. That is pretty accurate, I think. 5 seconds now, 5/10 of a second even, to Keki and behind Dirk there, 3.5 seconds behind. So they have fixed themselves, which is good, and that means we don't have to we don't have to try and take the lobby results from this part of the race. As Tales there gets the job done on Fraser, down in towards turn 1. Job done for him. The EPL man definitely cooking something up good, and he's there into 9th position. And of course, he's one of those drivers, Mike, on that fresher set of medium compounded tyres. Look at what Tim is, though, compared to Dirk. That 3.2 second gap, pretty much on par with what I said earlier on. Obviously, with Dirk there in 7th now, 6/10 behind, he's gained what? 2.6, 2.7 seconds out of that pit stop, and that was him coming in a lap earlier. So if Tim left a lap later, Dirk would have been ahead, and Tim probably would have been behind Urpek.
Yeah, and of course, I think that was the only strategy that the likes of Dirk, Urpek, and that could possibly do to try and get themselves back into the fight for a race win here. And I mean, it's worked out great for Nevertheless Racing, of course, with Keke up there now, essentially has the bodyguard for Tim. Interesting though, obviously Volokongan hasn't come into the pits yet, as we've got Alex Marciano now into the pits for TF10. Interesting that Volokongan has elected to stay out.
Set of softs. It'll be for a set of soft compound tyre. Tim on the back of Darth FIFA. Darth FIFA now going to put himself now right in behind Tim. And there goes Dirk to the inside line as well on the back of Keki. This is going to be perfect, actually, for these guys to be gapped by Tim once again. Now Dirk has got to get on the ERS. He's got to try and get Darth FIFA down in towards turn number 4. I know he doesn't want to try and overtake him, but he's going to have to. To the inside line in towards turn number 4. That is how you get an overtake done on the brakes from Dirk. I did second doubt him there, I guess, but that was no second doubt. That was just commit for the move, as is Keki on the back of Darth FIFA as well. Beautiful commitment, but look at the gap. Tim, 1.4 seconds. Darth FIFA has now provided that split between Tim and Dirk. Fresher compounded tyres for Tim and Dirk. This is now where it gets spicy.
Yeah, and this is where Dirk will have to use a little bit of battery just to get himself back in DRS range and not essentially let Tim drive off into the distance. That's what he did on the previous stint.
Looking at the chat as well, looks like Nordic Ninjas supporting the Finns and Harley supporting the Finn there of Keki there down in 5th position as well. Obviously, Keki hoping trying to get a better result than Finland in 2023 Eurovision, but then again, Keki is not carrier, but he's in 3rd position. He's doing a great job at this moment in time. Fraser there on the back of Darth FIFA, looking to try and get the move done, but he's got hardly any amount of battery left. The CPR man's going to have to send this to the inside line in towards turn 1. Darth FIFA backs out. WOR have got their fight, I think, now toward the back end of the field. Darth FIFA letting them through. Fraser there up into 8th position. Nicely done indeed. Tim in that net lead of the race even. Volokongan staying out there for now. Paul staying out there. Pit loss is 22 seconds. So Volokongan, Paul, going to put the gap to the leader on very quickly just to see where they are. Gap to the leader. I'm going the wrong way. Give me a second. I'm messing everything up here. 22 seconds. We'll put them out ahead of Andreas if they were to come into the pit lane for Volokongan and indeed for Paul. So, ideally, they need to come in and try and fight out for scrap points because Volokongan and Paul are going to be so much quicker than the guys in a set of mediums if they were to come into this lap. And I think Volokongan stays out there. Does he feel like he's got the pace to stay out there and win this race?
Potentially. I mean, obviously they spent 20 laps on those mediums right now. They surely can't. Surely they're not going to be able to get those mediums to the end. But the longer that we go in this race, the more I'm convinced that they're trying to stretch us to the end. And with Paul being the first car up, that is huge for Urpek and let's go trying to come through down in 7th place right now, because he can bunch everyone back up, and that will give Urpek an opportunity of coming through.
Yeah, definitely. So Opek there in 7th now is on the back of Tales. And you know, if you've watched PSGL, PSF2 in the past, here comes Fraser actually to spoil the party on the outside line in towards turn number 4. I was about to say, if you've seen PSGL, PSF2, you will have seen Tales and Opek battle. Fraser, though, has done a Freddie Rasmussen to the inside of Thomas Ronhar, quite literally there. Fraser through and he's into 7th. That was looking to me like a push to pass. I think he should let him through. Urpek remonstrating in the background. That was to me a push to pass, and that was to me, I think Fraser needs to let Urpek through. Otherwise, CPI is going to get a slap on the wrist.
Obviously, not what we like to see right there. And as you mentioned, Urpek, they're showing a little sign of frustration in that situation, but. I mean, for right now, it doesn't look like Fraser will be yielding that position at any time soon. But, I mean, everyone's starting to bunch up. Tim now just outside that 1 second of Paul. And the gap between Tim and Keke is almost 3 seconds again.
And here comes Dirk on the back of Keke. Speaking of which, to the inside line, turn number 1. Keke's is setting Dirk through. And he's into net second out on track if you were to count Volokongan and Paul to come into the pit lane. But their ploy to get to the end of the race. Volokongan, I will say, has done this before. Not around this track, but I remember in, I think it was Hungary, PSGL. Volokongan did this around Hungary. He went to the end of the race. He is very good in terms of his tyre management. Tim there has caught Paul at the worst possible time out on track, and Ite Paul is not going to give up that position. His fight will be for Urpek and behind. Tim is going to get held up here. Volokongan's going to get an extra tenth of a second hopefully here, and that means Tim getting held up through the test section is now going to put Volokongan in with a chance of getting maybe even a potential top 5, top 6, top 7 finish in around that point as Tim goes deep there in towards turn number 4, in towards turn 13. Paul there in toward the Feather Soul, gets him back down, and Tim there through and he's into second. So nicely done indeed. Gap now 3.3. Gap will close back up very quickly indeed now that he's in clear air. But not ideal, to be honest, from Tim's perspective, to hit Paul pretty much at the worst possible part of the track where you can't even make it too wide sometimes.
Yeah, and I think the saving grace for Tim right now is looking at that gap between Dirk and Paul. Looks like Dirk will probably goes up to Paul in that same point. Look at that, Dallas down the inside of Keke into turn number 1. Fantastic
Beautiful
stuff here.
Here comes Fraser.
Look at Fraser.
Here comes Fraser. Yeah, he's going to try and get maybe both of them down the straight in towards turn number 4. Now they're going to be 3 wide, almost touching wheels. Fraser tries to commit the impossible to the inside line now for turn number 5. Tries to get the job done. Taller's there on the outside line. He's going to be held out in there. Fraser's going to get the 2 for 1. Brilliant stuff from the CPI man. He might have produced a push to pass 2 laps ago, but he's just pulled off one of the best moves of the race. Fraser through and he's into 5th. And that is what the CPI team can do. That's what the CPI man can do in Fraser. He's through and he's into 5th. Keke now dropping down. Taller's there having that battle further down. Brilliant, brilliant battle that, and brilliant racing from Fraser, getting them both.
Yeah, the big thing now is always that Fraser just outside that 1 second. I think just managed to sneak back in before the detection point, so just about saving that fight for a second. But look at Dirk, got absolutely held up by Paul, and the gap is once again around 3 seconds between himself and Tim.
Nordic Ninja, by the way, asking why he's got Candy Crush adverts coming in the middle of the race. Dirk, however, doesn't care about Candy Crush. He cares about 3rd position. Out on track, goes to the outside line in towards turn 1. Job done for the team TF10 man even. Dirk through and he's into 3rd. Paul there in 4th. Fraser there in 5th. Yeah, I've got the adverts, by the way, if you're wondering why I might be getting them frequently. I've got them at every 18-minute interval, which to me is basically you can watch qualifying, then get an advert, and then have another advert from Next Level Racing, and then have another one in 18 minutes time. So that's where it is. It is kind of to promote the revenue, I guess. Money. Volakongan leads the way. Tim in second. Dirk there in third. Maze will be very happy that I've mentioned that live on stream. Tim on the back of Volakongan. Now in towards the right-hander now of turn number 13. Is he going to go for the move this far back? No. Waits in behind. He's got time to wait in behind as well. Fraser definitely doesn't. He's on the outside line. Round the outside of Paul. I know he's on 23 lap ball mediums, but that's a marvellous move from Fraser. And there goes Tales to the inside line, into the Ferrosol as well. Really good standard of driving, I've got to say, here tonight from Mexico. Hungary was the same last week. But Volakongan leads. Tim in second. Here comes Tim on the back of Volakongan. Volakongan's tyres giving way, not at the rate that I thought they would be. I thought they would have been wearing off a lot quicker. But Tim there now takes the race lead. And now he's got his sights set on P1, unlike what he did in PSGL, PSF1.
Yeah, and another thing as well, I've just noticed, obviously, Keke unable to get the move done on Paul, unable to follow Fraser and Tales through, which is not ideal for him, because Paul has still got the DRS, so Keke now has to use his battery to try and get through. Around the outside, he'll try, and job done. But what I was going to say was that 5-second time penalty could potentially drop him behind Phil at this moment in the race.
It's going to drop him behind Phil. It could be dropping him at least behind Erpek, I would think. Maybe on the borderline with Phil right now. The gap between them is 5.5, 10.1. I think that gap is, what, 4.6 seconds? I think I make that out as. So it is pretty much borderline between Keke and Phil right now. If Keke is to lose that position. He is losing his tyres, definitely so. He will lose time to the back of Tales and Fraser. Fraser and Tales now 4th and 5th. It looks like the front three pretty much confirmed. Volakongan is still hanging on in there, by the way. Still on 24 lap ball mediums. As I say, he's probably the best tyre saver on the entire game in terms of F1. Probably the best on PlayStation in terms of tyre wear. Tales now to the inside line. Doesn't care that I've just pointed that out to Fraser. Tales leads into 4th. Fraser there in 5th. Keke there in 6th. And here comes Erpek on the back of Paul. Overtaking his teammate down the straight and in towards turn number 1. He is through and he's into 7th position. If you are enjoying the stream for the final 3 laps, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new to the channel. But it is Tim leading the way, Volakongan second, Dirk there in third. The big question now is, Mike, Dirk, Tales, Fraser, Keke, can they all catch Volakongan before this race is done?
I think Dirk 100% will. I mean, he's only just over a second behind Volakongan, and that should close up in this S section right now. And look at Tales. Tales is absolutely flying in the late stages of this race. He is already on the back of Dirk here. So the battle for P2 and the podium positions is very much heating up between these 5 drivers.
Yeah, definitely so. Mateo, by the way, is saying he's watching without audio. Probably best for him, I've got to be honest, that we have not running any audio for him on the stream anyways. At least we could call him worse than anything now. I dare not, though, because ETA are going to come at me. Dirk on the back of Volakongan. Down in towards turn number 1 we go once again, and Volakongan is an absolute sitting duck. Dirk doesn't really need to use up his battery here, because he's going to fly past him. Tales could get them both down the straight as well. He comes to the inside on Volakongan. Volakongan's going to lose second position, and Tales is going to get Dirk down in the inside line. Beautiful move by Tales. Thurney's into second. The PSGL, PSF2 men going at it. Tales there in second. Dirk there in third. Volakongan now in 4th. Fraser there in 5th. Fraser not entirely out of this as well. The CPI could latch on some good points, but Dirk there in the end, remaining behind on Tales. Tim has absolutely flown. That race for me was lost because Team TF10's tactics were too very much blasé in the midpoint of that race. Lap 18, lap 19 was where that race was decided.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, just like they had the opportunity as well to use a bit of battery to try and close back up, and see, they neglected to do it and keep Alex Marciano ahead of Dirk, which I think was just the wrong call in this, as Fraser gets through on Volakongan now for P4. But yeah, TF10 strategy disaster class for them here tonight.
Yeah, definitely so indeed. Tim, they're leading the way, 4.2 seconds. It's now battle out for the podium. Who's going to be on it? Tales, Dirk, Fraser, or maybe even Keke, if he can try and get up there. Dirk now on the back of Tales. It looks to be between these two. And do you know what? It might not even be a contest, because Dirk flies past him down the straight in towards turn number 1. That is job done for him. Tales now has got to try and come back, but he's got less battery than Tales. That is going to be, than Dirk. He's going to be very important in terms of that. Now Dirk has got the DRS, he can pull that gap back out further. Talers has got no DRS in behind. Keki now going through the move on Volakongan, round the outside and towards turn number 4, job done for him. So now Talers is up against it. He's got no battery compared to Dirk. Dirk's on 19%, Talers on 9%. And Dirk at the minute has got pretty much Talers' number. It's all up to Talers now in terms of his tyre life and in terms of his wear. Dirk making a slight mistake there brings Talers now through the middle sector, through the SA section. Now for the final time, Tim is definitely going to win this race. Just who is going to be on the podium for second and third will remain to be seen. Talers on the back of Turk into the Ferrosol. Dirk now going to be the Minister of Defence of Mexico into the Ferrosol section, through the baseball stadium section for the final time. We'll cut on board with Tim though. He now comes through the final corner, through Peraltada on the run to the line. Tim wins for NLR, and Dirk is going to hang on for second through Peraltada, gets the line, finishes in second. Talers there in third, Fraser there in fourth, Keki in the end in fifth. And you might be right, Mike, because he is going to fall behind Phil by 0.2 of a second, I think I make that out as, in the end, a 10.5 even, between them both. Paul there in ninth. Ismail ran off the top 10. Good points all there for WR in terms of 10th and 11th. But in the end, one man stole that race, and that was from the middle point of that race. That was NLR Tim's race to lose. He didn't lose it in the end. Takes the race win for NLR, and Team TF10 and ETA8, 6th and 9th in the end. They've had a shocker, brings everyone else into it.
Yeah, and of course, the big question will be whether or not that 5 second for Keke does get removed or not. If it does get removed, then a huge result in terms of the points gain for Neverlast Racing in this championship. If it doesn't get removed, obviously they still close up a decent amount, but I mean, it's still it'll still be ET8 leading at this moment. I think if that 5 second gets removed, potentially we could be seeing Neverlast Racing take the championship lead.
Yeah, we could potentially see that as well. Obviously, ECA, I think, will be out in front. They had a 62-point advantage coming into tonight, yeah. So I hardly think that that gap is going to be whittled down. Wow. It'll probably be, I'd imagine, a less than a race winning advantage, if you know what I mean. Like, basically, 30 and 25, 55 points. It'll be less than that, basically, I think, the gap coming into next week. But that is it. Pretty much all done. Somebody's turned the sun off out on track, it now seems. There's that Tim celebrates with his mechanics at the top step of the podium. NLR are definitely going to be very happy. I hope we can try and get the top 3 in, by the way, Mike. Do you want to try and send a message in?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing right now, to see if they do want to jump in for podium interviews. As we will find out. We will find out.
We will find out. If they don't want to, I do not mind at all. I can talk very much so about how good their race was. In the end, Tim takes the race win. 16.8 compared to Dirk's 17.2. Tim had Dirk in that back pocket right from the midpoint of the race, and there was no coming back from that from Team TF10's perspective. Tim takes the win. Dirk there in second. Talers there in third, with Fraser there in fourth. Volakongan in the end, 5th on 20-odd lap old tyres. Fantastic effort from him. Urpek there in 6th, with Phil there in 7th, Keki there in 8th, Paul getting points there as well in 9th, along with Ismail ran off the top 10. Pretty much an underdog performance, I'm going to say, from Ismail. Don't think we even mentioned WR throughout that race. Start FIFA in 11th, Alexa Marciano in 12th. What could have it been for him? Freddy in 13th, Andreas 14th, and Capitan Sony 16th, Stretch in 17th. Dara ended up DNFing along with Gatkowski, and of course Hario down at the back of the field, causing that safety car at the start of the race. Pretty much and around the first third of the race, I would say, in terms of that. That is us pretty much then done for tonight. Hopefully we can try and get some interviews in terms of the race. But what we can do, though, is have a look at what the calendar is going to be like going forward for the rest of the season. And we go to Circuit of the Americas next week for the Texas Grand Prix, as it's now known as, of course, in real life. It is the Circuit of the Americas. A track that promotes a lot of overtaking, a lot of aggressive driving, a lot of DRS training as well. Texas next week, pretty much like Mexico, could have everything. It could have a bit of rain in there as well. Texas next week is going to be, I'm just going to say it now, potentially one of the races of the season. As I think we've lost Mike.
Yeah, you lag for me then. You were talking about Colton and was going to just cut out. But Yeah, I mean, Circuit of the Americas next week will be a very interesting one. Of course, a very different circuit, and honestly, it can be equally entertaining as well. So we will be looking forward to that, 100%.
Definitely. So I'm gonna now join the interview room, and that is where we're gonna conduct the interviews from. So I will see Mike there in a minute or so. And I've now joined the interview room, and Mike should be coming alongside me as well. Might have to try and drag him in if he can't join. Let's see. Oh, there he is. He's just joined, which is always good. We should be getting, hopefully, Dirk with an interview for the man who finished there in P2. Again, from Dirk's perspective, I've got to say, as I say, pretty much every single point that I've made was them losing the race right from the outset in that midpoint. Him and Alex Marciano were fighting, and in the end, Tim, that gap just built and built and built. 0.2 of a second there, 0.3 of a second there, and then in the end, the gap was 2.5 seconds, and the gap could not really be closed down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tim just absolutely flew away with it. But yeah, I don't think we'll be getting Tim in for an interview. We should hopefully be seeing Dirk. I haven't seen anything come from Tals right now, so guess we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see.
Phil mentioned in the chat there as well on Discord, I was just not quick enough in race today. Maybe 3 quali laps and 5 race laps isn't enough of practice. And then IRT Frank has just came in saying, what is this commitment, Phil? Yeah, IRT really need to start lashing the whips out, I think, in terms of their practicing for, certainly I think Jav wasn't in charge maybe of that session. If he was, then I'm very disappointed in him, if he's still here in the stream. But Phil there, obviously various. Oh god, that wasn't me, by the way. That was my chair. In terms of IRT's perspective, not a bad race at all from their perspective further down the field. WR, I think, very much an underdog performance from them. 10th and 11th in the end. Very valuable points, I've got to say, in terms of their racing. And Iswell getting in the top 10, I think that will fill them with a lot of confidence moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, IRT, I mean, they've just been building and building over the past few seasons, especially in Esports Masters League, and they're really growing into their own. They've really grown into themselves as a team right now, I think, as this season. They've been pretty much a team that can get top 10 results in throughout the season.
Frank mentioned in the chat, by the way, that Jav wasn't this time, and it showed. It definitely showed. IRT are definitely going to be getting the whip out, as we've now been joined by the man who finished in the end in P2, and that is Mr. TF10 Dirk. Dirk, can you hear us?
I can.
Lovely stuff. Congratulations on the P2. Race wing got away from you, I think, in that midpoint of the race. Talk us through what happened.
Yeah, just a lack of pace compared to Tim. Simple as that. He just was on another level today. You already saw it in the quali where he was more than a 10th clear while not having slipstream, while me and my teammate also had slipstream and P4 also, I think. So he was just clear today, and so after that I was just happy with P2.
Yeah, P2 definitely, I think, on the cards. Obviously, Team TF10, because of ET8's demise further down the field, gaining some good points. Obviously, in that regard, very good for the team. Talk us through what happened on the safety car as well. Obviously, that safety car came in. Everyone decided to come in for the set of medium compounder tyres. I was convinced that it was going to be a 2-stop. You opted to go for that and ended up coming, what, I think 6/10 behind Tim. And then as soon as there was a bit of traffic, that gap just extended for about 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's purely when you catch the traffic, and he also had the tire advantage with 1 lap. It's not big, but it definitely helps if you get a little tire advantage. And like I said, he was just very quick today. So even when I catched him because of some traffic or an undercut, I just knew that he was either gonna get away or hold that whole time on 9/10s, and he would still win. So I was just focusing on the cars behind.
Yeah, definitely so. And obviously, with focus on the cars behind, you had to fight for P2. That final lap move, very crucial, I've got to say, in terms of that P2 finish. And definitely best of the rest in terms of obviously with Tim being out in front. But P2 for Team TF10 going into the midpoint of the season will fill them with a lot of confidence.
Are we P2 in the standings now?
I don't know.
Or do you mean? You're
I
not sure.
think NLR. I think NLR in the team
Okay.
standings right now.
Okay. Yeah, I was not sure if you meant P2 in the standings or on track, but yeah, I don't know what happened with the collision of my teammate. I need to watch that back, but we just show that we can be up there and fight for the last week we won. Now it's P2, but we know we can fight for the higher positions on the grid.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Alex. Obviously, he was, I think, desynced by Talez, if I'm not mistaken. I saw that incident on stream, so it was caught on stream. Mike, any questions for Dirk?
Uh, yeah, obviously, what's it called? You mentioned about Tim's pace in that middle stint and just being able to extend it. Obviously, I want to say as well, like in terms of the how that race was going, it seemed like that happened because obviously Alex able to get past you with DRS, but didn't have the ERS to really bring you guys closer. And you at that time, I believe, was on around about 50% ERS. But why didn't you like to overtake Alex for the next few laps now? Because I think you could have really tried to get back within DRS range if you did push at that point.
I felt like the risk compared to the reward wasn't worth it, because even if I would catch up, I would have zero battery. Tim would still be faster, and then I would be very in a very risky position compared to cars behind who still have half their battery, and it would be a bit harder to get a podium or a P2. So I prefer to keep it consistent, save some battery, and go for P2 and P3 with my teammate, which unfortunately ended different for him. But I just wanted to make sure I finished on the podium today.
Okay, and understandable. I just wanted to kind of get that little bit of insight. That's all. But yeah, back to you, James.
That is pretty much all from me. Dirk, go and enjoy your evening.
Thank you. You too.
Very welcome indeed. And we'll now speak, hopefully, to the man who finished indeed in P3 in the end for EPL. And that, of course, was Talez. And Talez, a fantastic race from your perspective. First of all, can you hear us? Can we hear him? Is the main thing.
Tallis is muted right now.
Oh, he hasn't got
Hopefully,
the.
we're not on this push to talk
That's
issue
what I
that
was
we had
thinking.
before.
That's what I was thinking.
Uh,
Hope. Oh. Well, I don't know what. I'm going to message him.
just ask if he's on his phone. If he's on his phone, he should be able to press a button. Oh, he's deafened.
Oh, he's deafened now. He is definitely trying to talk to us. I think that's what is coming through. He can probably hear us on stream. So, yeah, I think he's got push to talk.
Tallis, if you are on your phone, what's it called? There should be a microphone button at the bottom, and if you hold on to that, it should unmute yourself so that you are able to talk, and you can't hear me now because he's deafened.
Yeah, he might need to he might need to actually set a key if he's on his laptop or whatever. You might need to set a key and then actually do the push to talk through there. But while we try and get Tallow sorted out, I'm sure Mystic Mike, Tech Mike, will be on the case tonight. We will have a look through the rest of the standings as well, rest of the calendar even, coming into this week. Of course, we've got Break Week coming up on the 27th of March, of course, Texas next week. And then we've got Baku, which I'm doing on Saturday, which I'm definitely not looking forward to doing. Bahrain, Jeddah, Singapore, and then Abu Dhabi to round off the season. Of course, F2 at 7 p.m., F1 at 8 p.m. UK time as well. PC Championship, by the way, I was right in saying it was at 7 p.m. UK time on Sunday, so it is at 7 p.m. UK time on Sunday, and that is Josh Griffin Meek and Deathlink taking you through the action once again for round number 5, and that is, of course, at Texas before they have their break week before Easter, which is always good because we're going to be filling ourselves a lot full of chocolate over that period as well. And in fact, actually, no, I lie because Baku was on Easter Sunday. So PC are getting their race on the 31st of March. We're getting our break week where Easter is. So PC, unfortunately, are not going to get a break week for Easter, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. As I'm a little bit focused. Tech.
I was on
Tech
his
support at the
PS4.
moment. Yeah, he should be able to do it on his phone. So we can try and get channels in and microphone working, and in just a moment. Honestly, guys, if anyone does need tech support, feel free to call to call me at any time of the day, and I'm usually awake anyway, so it's all good unless I'm sleeping like
It is.
last week.
It's usually good. It's Maze to blame for all of this, by the way. He's the one that set up this interview room, and then we're just having to try and find the permissions and everything that are set within the channel. But it's all good. I'm not getting at Maze whatsoever in terms of that. We are all, I think, in the same boat when it comes to technology. Technology can get the best of us sometimes. Hopefully we can hear from Talos very soon. Indeed. If we can't, obviously, we will try and get an interview, or try and interview him during the week and then give him his thoughts going into next week as well. So hopefully we'll be able to hear him soon as well. Obviously, though, it is Texas coming up next week from a PC and a PlayStation perspective as well. And Texas, I think the last time we came to Texas, if I'm not mistaken, was Season 3. And it was, from what I remember, a very, very good race back in Season 3. And obviously now, in Coulter, season number 6 of the championship, it's going to be really intriguing to see how the drivers cope with the trials and tribulations, the 28 laps that we'll have at the Circuit of the Americas, because I've experienced that track firsthand on this game. Honestly, such a good track. I won around there as well. Just boasting.
I have never won around the Circuit of the Americas. There's never been a track that has ever agreed with me. Usually, I mean, pretty much like most tracks now, usually I go spinning around. So the classic Ivor spin mics came out to play.
But what was, yeah, I was spin Mike, I think I referenced you to in Division 4 when you spun in that race. I remember that in TML. It looks like, I don't think we're going to be getting an interview from Talos. He's saying he's on his AirPods. And knowing if he's got his AirPods plugged in, or if they're showing up on his PS4, knowing them, I don't think they're compatible. So it might be the case where we might just have to scrub this interview and then talk to him hopefully next week.
I mean, what's called what we can do though is we can ask one quick
he can hear
question.
us.
He said he can hear us, but he's struggling to talk. I'm gonna hop onto my my phone 2 seconds and just show the button that Talis would need to press, because it'll literally go from like you'll be able to speak at that point then. So I'm just gonna hop onto my phone 2 seconds. Apologies for the audio in the background, but it is a bit of an issue.
Yeah, no worries at all. I'll try and ask Talos. I will see the chat, so if he does hear us, then I can ask him questions. Obviously, Talos getting P3 there out on track must feel good to get that P3. And there we are. He'll hopefully start typing his response there after that. Hopefully. This is good. There he goes. He's coming through. Here we go. But yeah, we have to be in that vocal channel. He is in there. He just can't. But he does say a great drive from me indeed, which is definitely good because obviously EPL needed the points, I think, coming into tonight as well. Obviously EPL were, if I'm just going to quickly check the standings, EPL were 5th coming into tonight. They were 8 points behind Team TF10. Team TF10 obviously getting more points than them here tonight. So EPL definitely in 5th position, maybe off the back of tonight. Certainly that P3 from Talos will fill EPL up with a lot of confidence, I've got to say, moving forward as well. So hopefully we can try and maybe sort out. Tech Mike will be back with us very shortly indeed. He's got push to talk, so it looks as if Mike is just sending that information in. But yeah, there we are. I don't know what else to go through apart from end the stream, to be honest. But here we are. Here we are. Hopefully, as I say, we can maybe have a full conversation with Talos next week if we get the tech stuff sorted out. I think from our perspective, I think we're going to end the stream here. Obviously, the tech work is going to go behind the scenes. But just a final plug, of course, our sponsors, Next Level Racing and indeed Gridfinder, and indeed Rising Lions, I should say, for their fine work, I've got to say, in terms of sponsorship for EML going forward. Rising Lions, of course, have opened up as well Team Germany now, which is very interesting. They've got basically Team Netherlands, Team Germany. When are we getting Team Brits? Team Brit. I swear I'm the only Brit potentially in Rising Lions. So I think they just need a team for myself, to be honest.
Honestly, James, I think you just gotta say I'm gonna do this myself, and then start Team Brit.
Definitely. But yeah, Rising Lions, thanking them, of course, for their continued sponsorship, as well as Next Level Racing. Imagine that I'm pointing to a chair right now. That is, of course, the chair in the background that I got for WR. It is very comfy indeed. I could literally fall asleep in it right now. But I've got to end the stream because obviously that wouldn't be a bad luck. If I fell asleep now and Mike didn't hear from you and you guys just heard snoring on the stream, probably not the best idea to keep this running. But big thank you, of course, to Dirk. Big thank you to Tales, by the way, for his thoughts there as well. I know it was very difficult to try and get an interview there, but hopefully we can speak to him next week. Hopefully we can give him a few. Hopefully I can ask him a few questions and then just sum up his thoughts from that P3 going into next week, of course, in Texas, which will be the next round of the championship. Really hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new to the channel. Round number 5, the halfway point in the season, coming up next week at the Circle of the Americas. Be there or be square, and hopefully you've got your cowboy hats with you as well. For myself and Mike, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.